Good day, my dudes. I hope you're doing good. I know I'm doing good. Welcome back to another video. For all the new people to the channel, welcome. This is the series where we go from the very basics of hacking all the way up to the advanced stuff while I prepare for an advanced penetration testing certification I'm going to sit this year, hopefully. Today, we are going to be solving the responder box. It is a tier 1 box on HackTheBox's starting point. So, with that said, let's get going. Today we're going to be doing responder. Let me just spawn the bad boy. Question number 1. When visiting the web service using the IP address, what is the domain that we are being redirected to? So we don't even need to do an Nmap scan to answer this question because it's just telling us, go and figure it out. Go and check out this web page, go and see what happens. So we'll type in this IP address. As you can see, we get redirected to unica.htb, and that will be the answer to your first question. Very nice. Now I've got to teach you a little something. So our browser knows that we're being redirected to unica.htb.hackthebox there. In order to actually access this page, you have to tell your machine you want to resolve the Unica domain name to the IP address of the box. And to do that, you need to go to etc hosts. This could be wrong for me to say, but it's like your local equivalent of a DNS server. So let's go there. So what you want to do is you want to go mousepad or nano or vim or your text editor of choice, and you want to go /etc or /etc/hosts. Open that, and you will see that you have a few addresses here. I usually just stick it right here. So what you want to do is you want to grab your IP address and you want to put the IP address on the left. So paste it in, then hit tab, and then you want to paste your domain name that you're trying to resolve to that IP address. Now, when you refresh, you should be able to access the page. There you go. Very nice, eh? That didn't actually answer question 2, but which scripting language is being used on the server to generate web pages? Now, I'm assuming that I can probably just check Wappalyzer. If you don't have Wappalyzer, I would recommend installing it on your Kali, maybe even on your regular browser if you want to. It's just a plugin for the browser that tells you what softwares, JavaScript libraries and things like that are running on the web page you're visiting right now. We are using PHP, and it is PHP 8.1.1. Very nice. The scripting language is PHP. Question number 3. What is the name of the URL parameter which is used to load different language versions of the web page? Okay, so that's a hint. So I guess we want to have a look around. I just saw it straight away, so I went straight to it. But you have home, about, services, works, prices, contact, and then N. It stands for English. Let's see what happens when we go to FR or DE. As you can see, we have index.php and then question mark, and then we have a page parameter that's now set to German. That is how that is working. And that is also how you can answer question number 3. So the answer here is page. Question number 4. Which of the following values for the page parameter would be an example of exploiting a local file include vulnerability? You got French.html, you got an IP address with some file, you got // Windows System32 drivers etc hosts, or you got mimikatz.exe. Now, from the placeholder, you can kind of tell which one it is, but let me explain exactly what that is, or what it's doing. So you can see here that the page parameter is set to German.html. And if you think about the way that a web server works, it's just a bunch of files on a computer that's somewhere else and it's being served to you. When it's referencing this file directly, you might be able to browse their file system by changing which file it's referencing. So in this case, you're referencing a new file. So if you were to change the page parameter to this value here, you'd be referencing a file that is up a few folders in the Windows folder, System32 drivers etc hosts, and that is how you would access that file. So instead of going for German.html, you'd be going for their etc hosts, if that makes sense. So the answer to question number 4 is this long string of text here. Question number 5. Which of the following values for the page parameter would be an example of exploiting a remote file inclusion vulnerability? And then we have some more options: French.html, an IP address and some file, the local file inclusion vulnerability, and Mimikatz. Well, it's not French.html and it's not Mimikatz, and it can't be the Windows System32 one, so it has to be that some file on an IP address. There you go. Works in a very similar way to local file inclusion, except it can be something outside of the file system. Question number 6. What does NTLM stand for? NTLM stands for New Technology LAN Manager, and then the LAN is Local Area Network, as you can see. NTLM is like the old Microsoft way of authenticating users over a network. It's been replaced by Kerberos largely, and NTLM v2. It's quite vulnerable. There are many things that can be done with it in order to exploit it for your own personal gain / on a pen test, and I don't really recommend that people use it anymore. Things like relay attacks, password cracking, and all of that, they all apply to NTLM. Question number 7. Which flag do we use in the responder utility to specify the network interface? Now I've got to explain what responder is as well. So here's what I think of responder. Responder is a really good tool for like internal pen tests where you have some network traffic and you want to poison responses in order to kind of trick people's computers into sending you passwords, relaying traffic, and all that juicy stuff. I'm assuming we're going to have to use it on this box, and hopefully that is the case, but the flag you use to specify the network interface is -I, and I think it's -I actually. Yeah, -I. Question number 8. There are several tools that take a net NTLM v2 challenge response and try millions of passwords to see if any of them generate the same response. One such tool is often referred to as John, but the full name is what? Its full name is John the Ripper, and it is a tool you will see many, many times when you're doing cracking and relaying and things like that. Question number 9. What is the password for the administrator user? Okay, we don't know. So we have to go and do some actual hacking now. So let's head back to the web application and see what all this hullabaloo is about with local file inclusion and whatnot. We've got the page parameter, we've got a hint that says local file inclusion is doable on the machine. Okay, Microsoft Corp, we can see that we've got a few different things. We know that we can do local file inclusion. I also tried to do remote file inclusion, but I didn't think about what I was doing. So I just set up a netcat server and I was listening on a specific port to see if the server would try and connect to me. It didn't, for some reason. I just got this error right here. However, what I'm going to try now is combining responder with the fact that we may have remote file inclusion as it kind of hinted to up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use responder, but first you need to find the network interface that is connected to the HackTheBox network. That is ton0, because it's your VPN tunnel. It's ton0. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear, then we're going to do responder-I, and then we're going to do ton0. We're going to let it run. Hopefully mine is still default. Yep, it's still set to the default settings. And then we're going to just try this remote file inclusion again, and we're going to see what happens. Make sure you have your correct IP address in here. Give it a try. And there you go. Okay, so what happened was we gave it a remote file inclusion that is our IP address. It tried to connect to our IP address using NTLM v2 as the authentication mechanism, and that has resulted in us getting the NTLM v2 hash for administrator. So if we take this, we copy it, we close down responder, and we put it into a file. I'm just going to call it hash, save it in there. Then we will be able to crack this using John. So I attempted to just run John with the hash file we just created. I'll show you there. So I just created this hash file, tried to run John on it, didn't work. So now I'm going to search up how exactly to crack an NTLM v2 hash with John. How to crack NTLM v2 hash with John. And okay, so he's just got his hash in a file, very nice. Okay, so he literally just does John -- word list equals user share word lists rocku.txt. I'll do that one, and then I'll do hash, and hopefully that will be fine. That was very fast. That was instant. So I ran that command, and straight away John was like, okay, the password is badminton for administrator. So of course you can copy this, put it into here, get your dopamine hit, and the correct answer for question number 9 is badminton. So question number 10. We'll use a Windows service, i.e. running on the box, to remotely access the responder machine using the password we just recovered. What TCP port does it listen on? Well, let's go find out. So we're going to run an nmap scan because I cannot remember which ports were open. But I do remember that only port 80 came up for me, so I'm going to do a -p-, and I'm also going to make it a T4 to speed things along because we don't got all day. So nmap scan has finally come back after approximately 10 years. We have port 80, which is HTTP, fine. We have 5985, which is interesting to us because it is running WSMAN. And now that's like a remote management protocol for Windows devices. We also have port 7680, but not interesting to us. I'm not too sure what that is. I'll have to do some research into it after this video. But the one we want is 5985, and we want 5985 because we can actually connect to it using the credentials that we discovered during our responder attack. But I do actually need to remember how to connect to WSMAN from Kali. So what we're going to do is we're going to Google it. How to connect to WSMAN Kali. Evil-WinRM. So in order to connect to the WSMAN port, you use Evil-WinRM, because WinRM is Windows Remote Management. That is Microsoft's implementation of the WSMAN protocol, and you do the following command. So Evil-WinRM -u administrator, or whatever username you're trying to connect as. Password badminton, that's the password we found during our responder attack. -I is the host we're trying to connect to. Hit enter, and you will connect. You are in users administrator documents. Now you can have a dir, you can see if there's anything around, there's not. You actually want to go back to here, users. You want to go into mic for some reason. You want to go here, go desktop, and there is your flag. And so that concludes this box. I hope it made sense. I hope I explained everything well enough. I have a feeling I may not have this time, but at least you can kind of see the methodology for hacking into a box like this. I will see you guys in the next one, which I will be recording right now.